Hello world, it's the Global Star Party, back with you again for another week of live telescope views, or at least we wanted live telescope views, but we have wall-to-wall clouds, which happens sometimes in the game of astronomy, and I'm filling in for Chris Kennedy, who is a much more charismatic and experienced host than I am, but I'll do my best. Let's get straight to it, shall we? We don't have live views, so what I'll do just to kick off, we do have a bunch of people in the room who have joined us, including Andrew, Michael, Paul Stewart, Russell Bateman, and Trevor. And we're all going to be sharing some of our own images and looking through the Flickr group. So we've got a bit of stuff to share with you today, tonight, wherever you are. The first thing I will share, though, is I've been, as you might know, I've been running around and I've been doing a bit of travel. Because after that space station photo went crazy, I got a lot of nice little opportunities and invites to places. And one of the places I went was the Deep Sky Tracking Station in Western Australia. They call it DSA 1. Can you guys see that? Okay, anyone in the room there? Yep. Excellent. And just before I go through these, just quickly, I'll try and make it not too boring. There's nothing worse than watching someone else's slideshow night of their travels. But we do have the Q&A room open as well. So if you've got any questions as we run through anything, just please interject, and we will read out the questions and do our best to make up answers or quickly Google them and then answer them for you. So this is DSA 1, the big 35-meter dish in the southern hemisphere. There's another one in Spain and Argentina, I believe, South America. And those three dishes form the tracking network for ESA. So they can track I think they've got about 8 or 9 different missions, including Rosetta and Mars Express and Gaia. And it was the Gaia mission that this one is pointing at. I got there and it was cloudy, and here I was. I'd travelled 4,000 kilometres to take photos of a dish, and I was all clouded out, and that really put a damper on things. But when the sun went down, there was still a little bit of cloud. You can see it's a bit hazy at the top, but I was actually able to see the stars. So this was just a stunning object. It's massive, and when you stand next to it, it's like standing next to I don't know, like a 7 or 8 story building. So I did my best to slip in some Milky Way shots, and I didn't have control over where it was pointing because they were operational at the time, pointing to a mission. But this one I really liked. It's not too flashy with the galactic core. There's a bit of blur in the stars, but it gives it a nice kind of ethereal quality. And they ended up posting this one on the European Space Agency homepage. And a lot of these other images are on the ESA Flickr group as well. This was earlier in the day when I was worried about these clouds that were up in the air. And this is what's called colloquially they call it a sundog, but it's called cloud iridescence. It's where you have these really high altitude clouds, and if you can block the sun behind your thumb or behind a building, or get a nice quick exposure like this, you can get that full circle rainbow, which is really, you can see that around there. Can you guys see my mouse pointer okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get the full circle rainbow because you're underneath it, and because it's going right through the atmosphere. You can get that. So I was pleased I got something astronomical for them at least. There's a star trail, and there's on my Google Plus page and on the ESA Twitter account, they shared the animation of this as well. This is about 40 minutes of tracking the sky, which is really nice to watch it actually lock on to a target. That's the still version. There I am up on a adjacent hill taking photos, little behind the scenes action going on there. I got dozens or hundreds, I'd say hundreds of photos of it, and I just picked the best ones and processed them and sent them through. it's hard to give you a sense of scale of how big this thing is, because it looks quite flat in photos and you can't get that sense of depth, but it is like a 7 or 8 story building, if you can imagine that. Now, while I was there, I took the opportunity to whip over to the Pinnacles. If you're ever in Perth, or if you live in Perth, do make the trip. It's only 2 hours. You can go there in a night and head back again. And this particular shot is when the moon is out. So this is all this light that you see here is moonlight. It's the full moon behind me. That's about a 30-second exposure. And the foreground objects are just beautiful, absolutely beautiful to try and frame and to really set against the stars. This looks like broad daylight, but again, this is moonlight. And if you correct for the yellow glow that you get through the atmosphere, then you get this. It really just looks like a sunrise, which is quite nice. But that is a full moonrise, so you can still see the stars there and stuff. And that's one of the long exposure galactic core ones. Always a favourite. And thank you. And this object up here is the Rho Apici, or Apici, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, cloud complex. And I'm going to show you another photo in a moment. So just remember that region here, because I do another version with a 200mm lens. That's close up on this one. That's a 180-degree view, all stitched together. Really quite difficult to do, and things kind of distort and bend. You can see all of these clouds kind of, getting a bit distorted here. We've got a little meteor flash up the top there, which was nice. But the lay of the land, this was how it was. It was quite hilly, but there is a bit of distortion. You can see them kind of bending over there. I'm still working on how to get these panoramas better. And thanks to Ronald Minch as well, who's in the Q&A. Who are those two gentlemen again? I missed their intro. I'm not sure who you mean, Ronald. Sorry. This is the same area with the galactic core. A couple of planes across the top there. And that's the area I was talking about before. Now, this is an image I took 2 nights ago, and it's not through a telescope. Because it's so large, it's big enough that you can use just a 200mm telephoto lens on a DSLR. And I've got the lens riding piggyback on my telescope. So the telescope's tracking the sky, but I'm not actually using the telescope for anything else. I'm essentially just using the mount to track around. And this one I took 100 exposures at 30 seconds. So they're not particularly long either, just 30-second exposures with a Canon lens. It was a really nice lens though. It's an L series lens. I can't afford one of those, so I just borrowed it off a friend, and I was so happy with the result here. I was at the Queensland Astrofest star party for the last few days, and it was good to be out with dark skies and spend some time doing something like this. This was only 50 minutes all up, so 50 minutes of 30-second exposures. But just a beautiful region.
Was that the one at Duckadine?
The what?
Was that the one at Duckadine, was it?
Duckadang, yeah, that's right. It was it was quite good. I've never been to a star party before, so that was
it's a scouts place where the scouts go.
Yeah. It was really well set up in that regards, because it's got dorms and it's got bathrooms and showers, and but because I brought my boy along, so he had access to obstacle courses and canoeing and a pool and a mini putt golf course, and I could just relax while I did my telescope stuff, and he was in heaven. That's good. Have you been out to star parties much at all, Trev?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, all the time up there, because I was only 4 hours away from that, and 4-hour drive anyway. Yeah, been there. I do a lot of, like I said, I'm in the Victorian Association down here. 900 plus members, and they have a dark site as well with domes and all that set up for all their members to use. So
cool.
Yeah,
I found it really nice to just go and hang out with people who are just as enthusiastic and
Oh, look, it's amazing how many people there are when you get to these places.
yeah, that's right. And I was kind of worried about like I didn't know what the etiquette was. I've never been to a star party before, and I asked some of the American guys what the go was with taking a beer or whatever. But it was an Australian star party, so everyone was drinking. We just got drunk and watched the Milky Way. It was fantastic.
They're just cutting down on light. I mean, last time I was at Duckine, I think the next rule that was going to come in was they were going to actually stop green lasers from being used as well.
Yeah, I think that might already be in effect. I didn't see a single green laser the whole time I was there, and interestingly, the imaging, they split the two groups of people off, so the imaging field
Correct.
was different to the visual field, and I was in with the visual guys. This is the visual field here. My little boy having a sausage on bread, which is a classic Australian meal. I think we had that 3 times a day. Um, but yeah, everyone in the visual field were really great guys, and we had to be very careful of light spillage. And once all the lights were all the sky was dark and everyone was set up, yeah, we cracked the seal and we were just drinking all night. So that was fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good place. It's a good get together up there.
And it didn't seem too big, but there was definitely more images than visual guys.
Yeah, and being high up in the mountains there, yeah, you're getting some really nice sky there.
Yeah. And that was just this is the last image of that I'm going to share tonight. But this is the one of the Perseids, because they scheduled this right in the middle of the meteor shower, which peaked that night. So I was lucky to see this big flash in the sky, and it was nice to look at, but made a nice image. It's a shame it ducked behind the rooftops there. Now I'm just going to quickly dash over to Andrew. Andrew, what are we looking at here?
Finally, the sun has decided to come out. The clouds have parted partially.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's just quick focus and all that sort of thing. So just to show you that there is a sun there.
Whew, I thought this was going to be the first show without a single live view. So thanks for rescuing us, Andrew.
You're welcome.
So the sun has been fairly active over the last week, and we had a big sunspot. I'm not sure what it was called, AR, blah 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 blah. But it's gone. Everything's sort of disappeared over the limb. I can't see any sunspots over the stream here, Andrew. I'm not sure. I know there was a few tiny ones when I checked yesterday through the scope. Are there any small ones on there that you can see that we just can't see because of the streaming resolution?
There's a very small one. Let's see if I find it for you.
This is live as it happens, people. So Andrew's using Backyard EOS, which is a tethering image software, so you can actually pull down images straight from your DSLR camera. And this is using the video function of the DSLR. Yeah, I see it there. Excellent.
Yeah, it's not quite in focus, but there it is.
Very good. It's live though, which is great.
That looks like the sunspot
the cloud
2401, maybe.
Okay.
Just a quick look on spaceweather.com. I think it looked like the 2401.
And that's a good point. Whenever I'm looking at the sun, I'd hop over to Space Weather and check out what they've got on, because they've got them all labelled there. But if you haven't seen Space Weather, it's a fantastic website, because it's not just solar stuff. They do a lot of aurora hunting and stuff like that. I'm just going to flick over quickly here to Paul's view, because it looks like Paul's had some thick clouds as well, which we're just looking through the sucker holes here and looking through Paul's gear, the Grasshopper 3 camera.
I think there's a sun there somewhere.
That, or you've got fantastic views of Neptune right now. Yeah, so we do have a little bit of live, folks. I'm just going to flick back and forth between Paul and Andrews. So Andrew's from South Australia there, and Paul's from New Zealand. There we go, the live sun. Now I'm quickly going to segue over to Russell here because we were just talking about that sunspot, and this is it. Is that right, Russell?
Yeah, this is 2396.
Nice.
It was 150,000 kilometers wide.
That's a really, really nice image too. You can see the penumbra and the different sort of layering as well as the modeled surface of the sun itself. Can you give us some details about how you go about taking an image like this?
Well, I shoot about 1,000 frames per an image like this. Exposure, I can't even remember what exposure I use, to be honest. Focus is key. I zoom in about 400% and then focus, and then back myself out. And the sun is really finicky for poor focus. But once you get it in focus, you just hit the record button and stack your frames, and away you go. Shot with a 127 millimeter telescope and a Next Image 5 camera.
Okay, Next Image, yeah, the Celestron one. The when you're focusing, are you picking out like those sort of smaller patches on the sunspots and trying to find a small detail that you can focus in on?
Yeah, that's exactly how I do it. I take the smallest feature I can find and focus that as sharp as I can.
Very cool. And 1,000 frames, how long does that take to gather?
45 seconds.
Yeah, nice.
It's quite fast in region of interest mode.
Yeah. And what are you stacking in?
Auto Stacker 2.
Yeah, very nice. Auto Stack It is free software. It's maybe not the nicest looking or the easiest interface to use, but it does a really cracking job of planets and surface details. I've used a few different stacking programs, and this seems to be the one that people are generally switching to now. And I think just because of the results, it's a really good result.
It's the best for planetary, I find.
Yeah, and I've seen people like Christopher Go and people like that using it, and I think, whoa, if they're using it, then they must be onto something.
For sure.
Very cool. Thanks for that, Russell. Michael, do you have any images that you'd like to share of your own, or should we jump straight into the Flickr?
We could jump right into the Flickr. My pictures are all old. None of them are relevant at the moment.
No worries.
All right. The first picture I want to show is this daytime image of Venus that Shah posted today to the Flickr group. I'm always amazed by Venus pictures, and especially when it's taken during the middle of the day.
Lovely. Look at that. It's just such a thin crescent, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's barely even there anymore. And he apparently uses Auto Stacker too. So,
yep.
I mean, like you said, everybody's on it now.
Now that was taken just yesterday, so not live, but getting fairly close to it.
Yeah.
And I'm just reading the details here.
0.9% is the phase. Using 2x Barlow.
Yep. And I know where Shah shoots from does have a fair bit of haze in the sky and stuff like that. It's a fairly populous kind of place. So the conditions he has to fight against to get his images are quite formidable. But he consistently pulls out good results all the time. Very nice, Shah. All right. What's next?
I'm trying to figure that out at the moment.
I'll just quickly run through the Q&A because we've got lots of people in there. Thank you, Grant, for your feedback. Matthew is asking, curious to know if the Hyperstar could be adapted to fit 8-inch Meade LX80. I think there are conversion kits, but I don't know enough about whether it will work on a Meade. I know the non-compatible Celestrons have conversion kits, so it's possible. I won't say it's impossible, but it's definitely, if you were going down that route with Hyperstar, I'd recommend just going to the Edge HD series, just because they have built-in field flatteners. They're more like an astrograph, so when you are taking photos, they're sharper edge to edge, whereas if you convert one that's already an SCT for mostly visual, those corners aren't going to be very nice. You'll get real sharp details in the middle, but not so much around the corners. But definitely check out Hyperstar. It's good. It's really good stuff. I can't say a bad word about it. Grant. Yes, the clouds do make it more real, Ronald. It's. I'll just flip back here. We can see. This is live, guys. You can. We don't Photoshop these clouds into the images. Ronald just wanted to know who everybody was. So I'll quickly flick through who everybody is. This is me looking terribly unkempt because I've just come back from a 2-day star party and I haven't shaved, and I probably need a shower. This is Taylor. Where are you from? Melbourne? I forget.
Yeah, Melbourne, man.
Melbourne. Yep. From Dynatech Computers and also budding astronomer. And Russell Bateman from Canada, who is showing us a lovely image here of the moon. We'll get back to you in a sec. Paul Stewart from New Zealand, from his home observatory. Michael Rector from, I'm going to say America, because I don't actually know where you're from.
I'm from Plattsburgh, New York.
New York. Gosh.
Yeah, I'm almost in Canada, though, so it's not really New York.
Oh, right. Okay. And finally on the end here we have Andrew Wall from Adelaide, South Australia. So, yeah, and if anyone else wants to join us on future Global Star Parties, please be sure to hit us up on YouTube or Google+, or even Flickr or Twitter or any of the other socials we've got going on, because we are looking for more American astronomers because of the northern. We do run them alternatively between each week, so we run every Saturday night. I know we've had some feedback that the schedule is a bit confusing, so but what the reason is behind our madness is we run every Saturday night, but it's Saturday night in Australia and then it's Saturday night in America. So we're hoping that we can give both hemispheres some night views, and that seems to be working, but we'll probably shift it a little bit because of the daylight saving stuff, and as the evenings grow longer and shorter on each side, we'll have to fiddle with that. So if you've got any suggestions about the schedule, please let us know. So I'm just going to hit back to Russell, and then I'm going to head to Paul after that. Russell, what are we looking at?
It's a 2-panel mosaic of the Tycho region on the moon.
Very, very nice. Tycho is massive. Tycho and Copernicus are the two big showstoppers on the moon, and just lovely lot of detail there. As you see the Terminator go around, it just gives all of that 3D relief to everything. How did you do the stitching?
Microsoft Image Composite Editor.
Really?
MSI. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
MSI.
Is that good?
That's great. Yeah. For stitching moon pictures, it's perfect.
Huh.
It's the new 2.0 works really, really good. It's great software.
Excellent.
And it's free.
So you do your stacks first, then auto stack it, and then run it through ICE.
Yeah, this one was I run my lunar images through RegiStacks. I find AutoStacker creates weird edges.
Okay. Yep.
So I usually stack lunar images and solar images in RegiStacks, the planets and small chunks of the sun I will stack in AutoStackers.
Right. Interesting. Very good. Thanks for that one. I'm going to flick over to Paul here, who's giving us an image of... this is... What is this? Is this Dad's animation?
Yes, this is from last month. It's the sun with the avian battle fleet.
You kidding? They're all birds.
Sure are. I couldn't tell you what type of bird, but the birds.
Nice capture. Very nice. And of course we've got the lovely filaments running across there, and philiproms and some prominences on the bottom there. Yeah, when we're imaging, we tend to have a lot of this sort of weird stuff. You know, when you've got the camera running and you're doing your exposures or you're recording video, and you get satellites and you get all sorts of crazy stuff. But that's nice to capture some birds across the sun there. Now I'm going to flick over to Michael, who is sharing, and I think I recognise this because this is Kevin Franklin's, am I right?
Yep, correct. It's the Eagle Nebula.
Fantastic. And the Eagle Nebula is that, is where the classic pillars of creation are from, that classic Hubble image. And Kevin has done this with his Meade, which is fork mount, I believe. So he's got it wedge aligned, so we can do these longer exposures. And I quizzed him about this because it's such a nice result for fairly modest consumer gear, really. And he's done this with 1 minute exposures, so then they're not terribly long, but because he's done a whole hour of them, you can really pull out that detail. So it's doing a run of short exposures is no replacement for the detail you can get from long exposures, but it does let you soften the whole image, and it really gets rid of that noise, and so you can get really nice clear images. And Kevin was saying as well, if you're doing short exposures, suddenly you don't have to worry about things like the how good your guiding is, or whether a plane goes through and ruins a 10 or 20 minute exposure and makes it useless. So yeah, there's something to be said for doing a lot of short exposures. Very, very nice work, Kevin. Thank you. I'm going to flick back across here to Paul. What are we looking at?
This is a view from the all-sky camera one night, the 12th of the 7th, by the looks of it.
Very nice. And you collect a fair amount of data. How much data did you say that it takes to store a night's worth of images?
That's just about 10 gigabits of images over a night.
Yes. So you look at them in the morning and see if you've captured any UFOs, and then dump it.
I make these nice little movies, and I compress these and just keep them as a reference.
Oh, nice. Very good. You must have a lot of data backed up, Paul, because you are a prolific astronomer as it is. With your solar and your deep space and your all sky cam, you must have you must be sitting on a stack of hard drives there in your little dome.
There's many terabytes of backup drives lurking around.
I can imagine. And you can actually see Paul's dome there. Can you put your mouse over that, Paul? There it is.
That bright light there is the rain sensor. It's an infrared rain sensor on the top, which glows quite nicely.
Wow. And I've seen you catch aurora with this camera as well.
Yeah, not very good in monochrome, but it does catch them.
Nice. Hey, Andrew, while we're talking about all sky cameras, do you have any pictures you can show us of the one that you've been constructing?
Yeah, I've got them here. I'll just give us
I'll
a
give you a couple of minutes, and I'll flick over to Russell here. Oh, Russell, you were showing something, and now it's gone. Oh, there it is. The Veil Nebula.
Yeah, this is from the Flickr page. This is Cristo Sanchez.
Aha.
So the Western Veil Nebula.
Yes, yes. Let me get it up here. Okay. Thank you, Christo, for contributing to the Flickr group. If you haven't seen the Flickr group, it is really, really impressive. Because we're a live show, we tend to prioritize these live or recent stuff. So we get a lot of stuff that's just been imaged or is quite recent. So a lot of it is technically very, very good, but I wouldn't be put off by the technical level. We've got stuff from all levels, and a lot of it is really fantastic. And this one is just fantastic. So thank you, Christos or Christo. Thad was talking about this just a couple of weeks ago because Chris Kennedy himself had done an image that was just in the center area here. But Thad was saying that it was really quite a bit of a puzzle the way the purple comes out, because normally you get red and blue emission and reflection nebulas, but mixing them together doesn't quite work the same way, and so it doesn't really explain the purple. I don't understand it as much as Thad would, but it is definitely a unique target. When you look at that color compared to other regions, it's really quite remarkable. Okay, flicking. I assume Andrew's going to still looking through his photos there, so I'm just going to flick over to Paul, who's bringing us what looks like some sort of comet. What are we seeing?
This is from last month, Comet C 2012 F6.
Ah, I've never heard of that one. Just F6. That's the whole. That's its glamorous name, just a designation with letters and numbers.
Oh, it's bound to be something after that. I'll just have to look it up.
Oh right.
F6 Lemon.
Lemon. Okay, I have heard of that. Excellent.
It was actually from a couple of years ago, looking at the date stamp on that.
Right. Have you been doing Catalina at all, Paul?
I have.
Excellent. Catalina is one that is growing in brightness at the moment. It's visible in binoculars. It's circumpolar, which means it's right up near the south celestial pole. So for us down here in the southern hemisphere, it's up all night. You can go out at any time of the night. Here it is, and you can see this through binoculars, and you can image it, as Paul's done here. Can you give us a bit of detail about this image, Paul?
That was a whole pile of 120-second exposures, as you can tell by the little dotty stars.
Very nice. So for those, or for the uninitiated, when you stack these images, if you stack them on the stars, you get really nice pinpoint stars, and the comet will be all trailed and blurry. Or you can stack it on the comet itself, using the center point of its glowing head, and you get a nice sharp comet, but the stars trail out. And I think you can also acquire the image by tracking on the comet as well, which gives you even more detail in the tails. And it looks like Paul's captured Catalina's two tails here quite nicely, the dust tail and the ion tail. I couldn't tell you which is which. I'm just trying to think, but by the way that the stars are trailing, the dust tail should be the higher one, I think. But I don't know. Okay, flicking over to Russell. What have we got here? This is recent, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Chris Kennedy's solar image from August 8th.
Beautiful. I hope Chris is there in bed with a cup of chicken soup and not tutting me too much. I know I'm not the best host, but get well soon, Chris. Hope you're resting up, and we're going to talk about your image. So it looks like Chris has done the inverted trick in the middle. So you invert it, and so those bright spots aren't actually flares, I don't think, or maybe the dark spots are. But yeah, because it's inverted, you get this nice 3D kind of effect. It makes it really cool and evil looking. It's a really, really nice image.
Very nice.
We've got filaments. It's got everything. It's got filaments. It's got prominences. It's got these big looping pairs. It's got a detached flare on the side there. Sunspots, the granularity. It's a complete package. Now that's the same sunspot that you showed before, Russell. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
2396.
Yep. So it's a bit higher in this, and it's been rotating. Well, for me, it's been rotating down. And it Space Weather had some really great photos of it. It just looked like a big baby's foot. To me, it just looked like a big footprint on the sun. In fact, Michael, if you're still there, could you pull up the other one on the Flickr from Gary Marshall? There's another one of this same sunspot, and you might be able to see what I mean about the footprint. My Flickr's not working too well while I'm on the hangout, but it's a bit, and you'll see one from Gary Marshall. It's a white light sun with the sunspot on it, which looks a bit like a footprint on the 8th of the 8th.
I think I found it.
Yep. Right, here we go. That's the one. It almost looks like a heel with the toes up the top there. And some of these images look quite distinctly like a footprint. Although my wife's pregnant at the moment, so maybe I've just got babies on the brain. Okay, I'm going to flick back to Andrew because we were talking about the all-sky camera, which is what we were seeing Paul's recorded views of the sky. And you can see here how it has a kind of very, you can see under the glass it's got a fisheye kind of construction, which allows you to see the whole sky at the same time. You just point it upwards, and if you're clever enough and handy enough, you can do something like Andrew's done and have it permanently mounted. Andrew, can you give us a bit of detail about this?
Yeah, this is a ZWO ASI 120mm, so it's a mono camera. And the enclosure is from a local electronics shop. It's just basically a dummy dome camera, which I've just taken all the insides out and put that camera in.
And how do you... this is something I'd love to do myself, but I'm just not handy enough to figure it out yet. But do you have it mounted on a pole, or do you just stick it on the roof? How do you actually put it out there?
Well, at the moment I'm still doing testing that, so at the moment it's sitting on this pole, which is actually the rails from the observatory.
Fantastic. You can't go wrong with duct tape, really. That's done as far as I'm concerned.
It gets in the way of opening the roof of the observatory, but...
Right, yep. Oh, cool. And how is it a USB cable, and do you need like a powered USB boosters, or is it just a very long cable, or it's not very long?
An active extension lead, active USB extension lead that goes into the observatory. And I've got a hub in there that goes to this lap I'm running at the moment. So I'm just running software called Fire Capture.
Yep.
Everyone's heard of that. It's a pretty good program. I'm only just starting to learn how to use it, but yeah, shows images what I've got up at the screen at the moment. You can see meteor, which it picked up in the short amount of time that I had it.
Lovely.
And also there's one there. And And there's a combined view. I just stacked them all together, and this is I think you can see my mouse there.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, an aircraft that came through. And there's also a high altitude aircraft that come across.
Yeah, right.
So quite sensitive. These are 5-second exposures. And yes, I'll show you one other screen I've got. No, not that one, but we'll try that one. And this is just an animation of all those frames together. So, without the plane.
That looks very evil.
Looks like a volcanic eruption.
Yeah,
that's one I took last night.
Cool. It's sort of, this is another area of astrophotography that we don't touch on very much, but doing sky surveys and just doing wide field stuff like this and seeing if you can capture fireballs and then reporting them back to universities and there's a great app you can get on iOS called Fireballs in the Sky that is, I think, run by ANU, and they will take your reports and confirm them, and they have their own network of cameras, and so they can. It's always good to get multiple reports and multiple observations. So yeah, that's something else that you can do, and all sky cameras definitely a fair whack cheaper than going the whole hog with telescopes and CCDs and all that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, definitely check out all sky camera stuff. And I'll just flick over to Paul because we've got one of Paul's long exposure ones. Can you tell us a bit about this one, Paul?
That is a stack of all the stars over a night, which make these lovely trail thingies.
Wow. It's and that's a whole night. So it's at least 8 hours, or 8 to 12 hours.
Probably about 8 hours.
Yep. Cool. You can see the pole there, the southern celestial pole there nicely. So that's where that's around about how I was saying that Catalina is around there at the moment, and that's why it doesn't set. It's there all night, more or less. Although it's pretty high, about 10 p.m. as far as I'm aware, and it's getting brighter and brighter. And we believe that it's going to peak brightness in January. So there's a long upward curve here. Now, if that keeps going, and we're not sure because comets are notorious for not being predictable, we could have a very bright northern hemisphere comet, which would be the first one for many, many years. The northern hemisphere has just lucked out. We've got all the good ones for a while. So hopefully you guys get Catalina when it gets nice and bright. And it looks like you've captured a fireball here, Paul.
Yep, just a little one.
Very nice. Well, this is good. We've got a lot of information about all sky cameras and some great images off them too. I can even see it's fairly sensitive. I can see Corona Australis, the big constellation. Looks like almost looks like a smiley face in the middle of the Milky Way there. You've got two bright stars for the eyes and then a curve. Yeah, it's quite a sensitive little camera there. And that's mono too, yeah, Paul?
Yeah, it is.
Very good. All right. Well, I think we are going to wrap up just a little bit early today, just because we have had clouds. We've had a lot of excellent photos and discussions. So I thank everyone for joining in. And I'll just quickly run through the Q&A one last time. We've got some Veil Nebula coordinates. Bob was just asking, what's a fireball? So a fireball is it's still just a meteor, but they can explode and leave large vapor trails across the sky, and they're quite dazzling when they do that, and they're way brighter than just a normal shooting star. In fact, you can see in Paul's image here, this fireball would have only lasted a few seconds, but it's brighter than any of the brightest stars in this image, which was exposed for several seconds, at least 5 seconds maybe. So it's a bright object. If you happen to be if you happen to witness one, you'll actually see the flash, and you'll see things light up in your backyard. So I guess I'm not sure how much of a technical term fireball is, but they're the big ones, the big bright ones. If anyone wants to correct anything I'm saying, please do, because my disclaimer is I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is not my day job. What else have we got here? Advantages of auto-stack-it over registacks. I'll give my 2 cents, and then I'll let Russell talk about that. Auto-stack-it for me was just a lot easier to get my head around. Registacks felt like the Starship Enterprise. I got in and I just couldn't do anything quickly. But then the actual results, when I did compare them, I was just getting better results out of auto-stack-it. But Russell, are you still there?
Yes.
Can you talk to the advantages of auto-stack-it over registacks, or vice versa?
User interface is auto-stacker is really easy to learn compared to registacks. Like you said, registacks is like the Starship Enterprise, and auto-stacker it's like starting your Corolla.
Yeah,
it's quite a bit easier. It's a couple clicks and you're good to go, and the results are really. I found them better than for some things than registacks.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And what's we're looking at the Helix Nebula here.
Yeah, Kevin. This is one of Kevin's images from the same night he took the Eagle Nebula.
That is spectacular.
Yeah.
I had the good privilege of doing this. Had a chance to look at the data, but I already know it's not as good as this because I was using Hyperstar, which is quite wide, and it was only a very small object in the middle. But Kevin here has done it beautifully using his 8-inch Meade, 3.3 focal reducer, color camera, and I wish he was here. I could ask him how long these subs were, because they do have to be fairly long for the Helix Nebula, but maybe he's done the same thing and done a really long run of 1 minute ones. I'm not sure.
Looks like he's in very close too.
Yeah.
Bit of magnification there.
It's small. I mean, it's not really small. It's one of the biggest planetary nebulas you can see. But planetary nebulas do tend to be small in general. I've seen some of them in my pictures. They're barely bigger than some of the stars that I'm taking photos of. But this one is the king of the planetary nebulas, so it's quite big. But in terms of imaging, I think we can assume that Kevin's cropped in a fair bit here. It is small. So yeah, well done, Kevin. Q&A, Ronald just said kangaroo sausage. Yes, we have kangaroo sausages here. They're called kangabangers, and you can just get them down the supermarket. They're great. I have them all the time. They're cheap. Can that Fireball program be used to track approximately where meteor fragments land? I think you mean fire capture. The program that a lot of the guys are using is fire capture, which is just it's sort of like a video recorder for your camera. So it pulls in those frames really quickly and saves them to a video file that you can use later on and for stacking. But no, I don't believe it can be used to track where meteor fragments land. You could probably no. I think what you need to do is you need to report it to a university who can then compare it with other cameras and sort of work it out that way. But I mean, it's pointing in the right direction, so you've got a general idea of the direction it's gone, but where exactly it's landed, I have no idea how you'd calculate something like that. Okay, I think that's just about it. I do apologise if we haven't answered any questions which might be in the YouTube. We tend not to monitor that just because we've got the Q&A going here. I'd just like to thank everyone who has submitted images to the Flickr. Please go check the Flickr out. It is amazing. I'd like to thank Andrew for bringing his live sun. We technically haven't had a show that hasn't been a little bit live, although this one has been the least live of them all, I would say. But thanks everyone for trying. Thank you, Michael, for sharing out the Flickr stuff and helping me with the hosting. And
Not a problem.
no trouble. Thank you, Paul, for bringing your wonderful images as always. A little bit alive, and what have we got here? Is this Thad's?
This is Thad's image. He couldn't be here tonight, but he just wanted us to share his image and say it's taken by the Colorado PST. He managed to catch this nice little flare.
Yeah, very, very nice. When you're doing animations of the sun, things happen over a long time. So even though it looks like a little squirt, this might have taken what, half an hour, 2 hours? Thank you, Thad, for sending that in. Hope to get you back on the show again soon and bringing your infinite wisdom and knowledge. Thank you, Russell, for bringing us some more images from the Flickr group and some of your own as well, particularly that spot. Oh, and Trevor's done a lovely Saturn. Tell us about this one, Trevor.
Okay, yeah, this was taken just last night. I thought I'd get out when the night was sort of in between the clouds, and this was done on the 16-inch actually, just with a 5x Barlow on, which is a Teleview Barlow. Now, not as clear as what it could be, but you know, you've got to get out there to try. If you don't try, and this was a stack of about 600 frames out of 6,000. So I didn't go overboard on it, because if you notice when you're using Barlows on a higher aperture, if you need some type of correction to actually correct the colours, because it doesn't matter what type of Barlow you end up buying, even a high grade, you start getting some colour bleeds. And there
I think it's called chromatic aberration.
Yeah, there are correction lenses that you can get to fix that problem when you go to a higher aperture. And I've noticed this with a 14, 16 and so on upwards, you start getting these aberrations start coming in. But at the end of the day, yeah, it all can be fixed. Unfortunately, I've tried all different types of software, even Photoshop, to try and move it around, but you can't. It's just not going to happen.
Oh, you can just get the paint bucket tool in Photoshop and whack some black in there.
I like to try and keep it as original, you know.
Yeah. No, that's a really good result. As you say, you're up against the chromatic aberration. And how was the seeing that night?
Like I said, it started dewing up, so I had to pull in very early, and that's another issue too. Trying to fight with dew as well. So you're forever trying to keep the secondary mirror from misting up. But you know, nonetheless, got out there and still did something. That's just getting out there. You just never know when you're going to get that perfect moment and you're going to have a really, really nice shot.
Yeah. Well, we all get a bit self-critical as well as astrophotographers, and because we've seen all what people are capable of, and I know that I'm definitely daunted by Kevin Franklin's Saturns and Paul Stewart's solar and all that, but we tend to be self-critical in that regards. You show this to any of your mates on Facebook, and they will be absolutely blown away. And I think it's a great image. You can see the Cassini division. You can see the image, the planet coming through the rings. You can see the shadow. It's 100% better than anything I've ever pulled off. So well done.
Well, when you go to, as you know, when you go to a bigger aperture, you're always going to get stuck getting more detail out on the planet itself.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, I think, right down to a 4-inch. You know, you can get good Cassini division images, but you lack on the planet detail itself. The ball, yeah.
Oh, very good. I know we were at the Star Party. We were up against ice as well. So when I went to bed and woke up in the morning, and there's ice over everything. So I had to pull my telescope right down. I kept the mount set up and polar aligned, but I took everything down and put it back in the tent because I did not want ice over all my gear.
You didn't take it. Mate, normally you throw a tarp over it, and you're right.
Yeah. Very good. Thanks a lot for that, Trevor. I'm going to wrap up the show now. Thanks again, everyone, and we will see you next week with the Australia-New Zealand edition. I think the moon will probably be back in the first quarter by then. So yeah, we'll see if we can fight against it or do a lot of moon stuff. We'll see how we go. Once again, please join us on Flickr. Please join us on Google+. If you're an astronomer and you'd like to help out, we would love some more telescopes to stream out. And if you're an astrophotographer and want to talk about some of your images live on air, please join us. Everyone is welcome. And just hit us up and we'll invite you into our private little community there where we plot to take over the world. And yeah, we will talk to you again next week. Bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah.